The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent along with Addie Rich.
That's me.
It's me. We are a podcast dedicated to giving a voice to the disability community. We do that by having those with a disability on to tell their stories and the organizations that provide programs, services, and support to the community on to share what they do. So today, we're doing neither.
Today, we're doing something different.
That's right. You know, and it's inevitable. We've done this now for a year and a half plus, and and we kind of go into an interview, and we call it Walk and Roll Live. It's not, per se live, but we do it as if it's live. Does that make sense? So
yes.
When we turn on the mics and we start recording and we bring a guest on or we're talking, it's pretty much what you get. I do some minimal editing just to get the raw stuff that before we start the show and, all that out. But other than that, it's just like live. And first of all, before Addie joined us, we did it Tuesday morning and it dropped Tuesday afternoon. So it was enough time for me to kind of do all that editing, put the show together, and then publish it. And now we do it on Monday because Addie's lives across the country. Yeah.
Because our time differences are different, and it's easier to do it in an evening instead of a work day. So there you go.
So we actually do it the afternoon before, and then when you're hearing this, it's Tuesday afternoon, or whenever you listen. Could be in the middle of the night, could be in another country.
Right.
we appreciate you.
3 months later,
listening.
but hey, we're here.
It could be 3 months later, absolutely. So, having said that, I'm a polio survivor, crutch and brace user for years, and transitioned into a wheelchair user over the past 20 years. Addie?
And I am a cerebral palsy kid. I use a walker most of the time, and I'm transitioning to more heavily going to use a wheelchair, which, by the way, I'm going to win. Horace, you're going to win some money. You better put it on it.
Unless something walks through that or rolls through that door today, because you have a scheduled delivery date, right?
I do.
And I have to call today to see what the status is. So I would say that's a lead at this point. So we'll wait until the game's done. All the innings are played, and we'll let you know next week, it looks like.
Right.
So,
but if you're a betting person, I would put your bet in now.
Yeah. So other than your wheelchair on the way, anything exciting happened over the last week? I noticed as I'm looking to you on camera here, you're not in the mountains.
I am not. I had to come to town because I need to pick up said wheelchair.
So are you going to make it back for Halloween?
No, because I get it literally that morning of Halloween. So, but they did it this last weekend, and the weather and life.
It was this last weekend.
Yeah, it was
and
just this last
were you
weekend.
there or?
I was not, but I saw lots
okay.
of cool pictures, and it looks like people had a great time.
As we do this, we get together and we chat a little bit before we actually start the show. And so, and I don't know about you, Addie, but all this stuff kind of gets garbled in my mind. Is this what we talked about off the show or on the show? So
it was on the show.
It was on the show.
Because I thought I was going back.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I wanted to make sure that people weren't like,
they're like,
what are they talking about?
That?
Yeah.
No, we talked about that because that was the plan, was to go up and check out some more leaves and stuff. But life happens. And
so, do you think you'll make it back this season?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. That's
Good.
the plan. But we also have our lot for rent starting in mid-November, so it'll be in the next few weeks or not.
So your place is rented out when you're not up there sometimes.
We try. That's the plan.
Gotcha. Very smart. Very smart.
Yeah. How was your week?
It was good. Kind of the same things, a lot of it. But went to my granddaughter's soccer game.
Fun.
Yes, it's she's been doing it for a while, but and I don't know if this is. I don't know. I'm not a professional. There's a little bit of the COVID isolation that's kind of catching up. She was very emotional, at the games, and so having somebody else there, I think, watching her, mom and dad just thought, wait, and we'll let her kind of get her legs under her, and then I'll come. So I came yeah, she's it's fun. They're 5 years old. They're so cute in their little outfits, and they've got their uniforms, and they've got ribbons, all matching ribbons. And
right.
The kids, they don't, at that age,
they can't remember which way they're supposed to be going. But
oh yeah, and they don't know which way to line up. They don't know where to kick the ball as they're running down. The coach is the other way.
That's
but
my
it's
favorite,
so much
though.
fun.
It's so fun.
Exactly. But she's a runner. She's fast. Somebody kicks the ball and takes off. She catches up with him. So
right,
yeah,
she's gonna sleep good on game days.
Yeah. So the other thing. This is stupid, but let me get into it. And this is the kind of thing that I normally don't have any question about how I would handle it. But for some reason, this one I am. And so I thought I'd, kind of bounce it off you and see, if anybody else wants to chime in, feel free to send us an email and say you're an idiot. But that's good. I go, and I have for the last 10 years, about every 6 weeks. You get to an age as a guy and you start growing hair in places you just don't want to. And so I go and I get my ears waxed. Okay. Which I love because it just takes care of it. I don't have to think about it for 6 weeks. Well, the last time I went, I've been going for 10 years, right? Yeah. Well, the last time I go, first time ever, wax drops on my shirt. Okay. And the gal's just like, kind of, I don't even know if she really said sorry about it, just, oop, she was trying to get it off and, that'll be fine. Never offered to, give me the service for free. Never offered to, can I, pay for a new shirt, dry cleaning, nothing. Yeah. And I didn't think too much about it, nice gal. And, so I go back this last week and I get her again. And I'm thinking, never happened to me in 10 years. What are the odds that this is going to happen again with this? Yeah. 2 more. Two bigger. And I know because she didn't say anything. So I don't know if she's trying to hide it from me. But she starts picking at it back there like she's going to pick the wax off my shirt. And that's not going to happen. So I tell you all that to just say, I just kind of like, okay, I'll try to pick it off later. Well, I get home and I don't see the size of them until I get home and I take the shirt off. It's like, good Lord. I mean.
Are you trying to go somewhere after you do this, though, or you go home?
I'm just out, And I wasn't going anywhere, especially anywhere where I would, what my shirt looked like mattered. But, so I'm thinking, wow. So this is my dilemma, I guess I would call it. Okay. I don't know why I'm worried about getting her in trouble, which like I say, in any other incidents, I wouldn't even really care about that. So I don't know where I'm really going with all this other than, what's your take? I mean, I don't want it to happen to anybody else. I don't really want to go to her again.
Is it a new girl though, or it's the same girl for 10 years?
No. Yeah. It's, I've been to 3 different places and several different girls, yeah.
So I wouldn't go back to that girl. It's kind of like when we'll go to get our nails done. I've never done like waxing in a place, so I can't speak directly to waxing. But it's kind of like if you have a bad experience and they snip your cuticles too far or make your finger bleed or your toenails or whatever. Like there are certain people I avoid. Like when they're the ones that are available, I'll be like, I'll wait. And I just wait for somebody else, but I don't go like she sucks, but I do go like no thanks.
But then the other thing I'm thinking, it'd be nice if she got a constructive criticism, so maybe she would stop doing that. But it seems like if you're dropping wax on some guy's shirt.
You think she'd put like tuck a paper towel or something under your shirt to know that? Yeah.
I did ask her. I said, well, maybe you should put a wrap like they do at a barbershop. So, no, they won't let us do that. So
why?
Like, what? Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, we probably already spent too much time on that. So,
so ladies and gentlemen, if you know a better ear waxer,
but that is on my call list today.
That's on your to-do list?
I'm gonna at least call them, let them know that this happened, and they might want to counsel her. And I'm still coming, but I just
I
want
would
them to know.
say, hey, I have a constructive comment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, please don't be too hard on her, but yeah, she needs to be aware of this and get her straightened out. All right. Thank you to Curtis Smith with True Evolution from last week. Got a lot of nice comments on the show. Just kind of something different that we haven't normally done, and people were appreciative of that. So thank you, Curtis, for coming on and sharing all your expertise with us.
Hey, Curtis.
Yeah. And then today, we have a young man that was going to come in and just shortly before we started doing this, talking about waxing and everything, we got a message from him that he's in the hospital. He got injured. And we won't go much beyond that, but so we're going to have to reschedule. Yeah, it sounds like he's, other than being in the hospital, he's okay and just on some meds and not up to doing this today. So we certainly can appreciate that. Take care of yourself, and then we will have you on at a later date. And you've got another story to share with us. Tell us. All right. So we're going to talk about a topic. We'll share when we get back. I'm going to take a quick break for Adyar professional training, and then it's going to be just gab time with Addie and Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Gap Zone.
They used to say when I was a kid, we're going to rap.
At Adyar Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. Adyar is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with Adyar Professional Training and witness the growth of your business.
You're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
Welcome back to Walk and Roll Live, and our guest couldn't make it in today. And so we're going to reschedule him. And we've actually kind of talked a little bit about this from time to time. What will we do in the event this happens? Because it's inevitable, right? Somebody's going to,
Humans.
going to get sick or whatever it is.
Right.
Not going to make it. So what are we going to do? And we talked about maybe doing something in advance and having it recorded and do it. But so today, as we were discussing this, when our guest hadn't called in at the pre-described time, we thought, we'll have to really kind of take care of this sometime. Well, today we've decided this is the day.
Today is our lucky day.
So we're going to wing it, and hopefully this goes well enough that we're comfortable with letting you, experience it. But so we kind of went through a list. We have a list of topics that at some point we want to address different forms, and one of them on there kind of caught both of our eyes, I think, and we'd kind of been discussing it a little bit before we actually started taping this very topic. And it's just employment and entrepreneurship. And so we were both kind of sharing different stories about our employment journey and whether our disability impacted that or not. Yeah. Right?
Totally.
So, I don't know. You want to?
We got on a riff. About how, if an employer sees our resume, what do they think? Yeah. And then they see us come into the building. Like, how is that their brain doesn't calibrate the paper with the person? Because I've definitely experienced that in my own life in more than one time, and just fascinating. So we were kind of talking about what that's like. And then if we do get a job and we're given a job, it's like not necessarily luck, but like triumphant that we're sitting in that seat. And it's like, no, my piece of paper made me qualified.
Yes. Yeah. My education, all of those things, experience. And let's back up just a little bit, because I'm going to interview you here a little bit. Okay. And I'll chime in too. But I'm just curious about when you were in school, and I'm talking about primary, and, so you're getting into that age in high school, say, when you're having to start thinking about a career, was there something that you knew you wanted to do, or was there, as you were looking at the possible jobs, like myself, you have to look at the things that I can even do, physically, that part of it. So you're having to look at something that has less physicality to it. So what was that process like for you?
Same. Well, I think, I mean, I always wrote and I loved to write. I had no intention to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Let me say that. Teach for America reached out to me, and it was just so weird. They were like, we've been looking through your stuff. You're high in your class. Like, this was in college I'm talking about. I just skipped over high school. But in college, they reached out to me and they were saying, we see that you've done a lot of like philanthropic things. You're very involved in the community. That's the kind of person we look for. I didn't even know what Teach for America was, honestly. So them reaching out to me, my plan was, I didn't really have a plan yet, like get a desk job, do something, or I wasn't sure what it meant once I left college because I was so involved in college. It was like, well, what now? Mm-hmm. Similar to you with physical limitations, even if I was like, I want to go jump off a building, not going to be a profession that I can obtain.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just interesting how it kind of twisted and turned. And then they said in that phone call, so we have interviews in 2 weeks in LA. If you can get your stuff to us. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. So it was very interesting and it was a cool opportunity, but it wasn't an opportunity that I had said, I'm going to be a teacher in inner city Atlanta, no less.
So talking about you on paper versus seeing you.
Yes.
This wasn't a program for people with disabilities.
This was not.
Right. This is just
this is
students
basically
at
the
large.
Domestic Peace Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Which was really interesting because, I mean, they only are seeing my paper. Yeah. They do not know. And so in that, like, when I went to the interview phase, I'm sure I could still remember some faces that were like, oh, because I say my name. And then there's like that little computation about how do the two pieces go together. Mm-hmm. And then obviously once they selected me, they were not prepared to have me at training in Texas. At that time, they trained everybody in Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. So they did not have like a bus that could carry someone with a wheelchair. They did not have putting me on the first floor. Like there had been not a lot of communication between, hey, we hired this girl. These are the accommodations we need. And now this girl is here. So it's just funny to even see.
So there was no face-to-face interview before the hiring. They hired you totally.
They did the face-to-face where I had to go in and do the teaching and stuff. So those people were aware. The hiring committee was aware, but apparently the hiring committee forgot to communicate to the training committee who was setting up accommodations and like, okay, so they bus us to our schools once we've, been given a school to go teach at. Well, how am I going to get there? Like, what do we do with this wheelchair? Like, there were so many misses. Because somebody was just looking at my paper. Yeah.
But kudos to them that they didn't, because I could see a place, at a time when people would just say, we didn't realize this is the end of the journey for you. Yeah. You don't get the red rose.
No. Go sit down. No,
I mean, kudos to them that they overcame each of those.
They did. Yeah, and luckily, I mean, it's funny to say, but like having the March of Dimes and things, I'm used to being the different one. Mm-hmm. So I didn't feel so uncomfortable to have to like explain to people what I needed because I was always like one of the only disabled kids that was mainstreamed. I was, a poster child. So like I had a better training.
Just from your life up to that point.
From life experience to deal in that situation. Because
advocacy.
I could see somebody who'd been a lot more sheltered or not had my life experience, that would be like, they wouldn't have to tell me no, Rose. I would say, hey, I'm going home. This ain't for me because I don't fit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that says so much about you, too, that.
Well, thank you.
I mean, here you are, and I've said this to other people and probably said it to you, is that. Just the juxtaposition of you growing up in San Luis Obispo, California, with, this idyllic kind of Norman Rockwell existence, and going where they placed you in Atlanta, Georgia.
Holy.
And then on top of that, having a disability that you didn't drive. And so this was what, 21, 2-ish?
2001. Yeah.
So that's another hurdle that you had to overcome.
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely. I mean, there was a Jack in the Box in every phase of that journey because, I mean, the game of Jack in the Box when I show up at the interview, the game of Jack in the Box when I show up at training, and then I show up at my school and they're already frustrated because Teach for America goes into failing schools and we're there to kind of help elevate that and do different things. So they don't like people to come in as like a savior. And then I'm different. So because some of them,
This is
I'm a
what you
broken
sent
savior.
us?
So what the heck am I doing there? You know what I mean? How'd they get the broken one when they could have got others? But thank God that my life experience made me not immune, because it definitely hurts when people judge,
Sure.
but more immune to dealing with that. Because there were so many times where people have been like, "I'm going home." Not that I didn't say that, but I mean, I'd have my little cry about it, call home, and then suck it up and go the next day.
Yeah, that was my next question. You know, I'm sure had your moments when, is this all worth it? And
Oh, for sure. Especially because it wasn't like my life dream where I was like, this is what I want. And if I abandon them, I'm abandoning my dream. I didn't have all of that expectation and like build up.
Yeah.
So it would have been a lot easier to just be like, peace.
well, you
but I
know,
don't know.
and again, I think those are the things that are overlooked a lot of times, is that kind of courage and that kind of perseverance that, you know, you went through that, like you say, you know, with all the challenges you had, in addition to this not being your dream. That, I think that's what gets people through a lot of times, because you know, this is
it's
what
like
I've
they
always
can't
dreamed
give up
of.
on themselves. Yeah, exactly.
Says a lot about Miss Addie Rich.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that was like a indelible moment. I think we've always been judged, and I don't know if you've experienced this, so you'll have to speak for yourself, but we're judged our whole life for being different. I always had a protective sister. I had really good friends but I was still kind of judged like the pet versus the person.
Mm,
And so that has always been a challenge.
yeah. I don't even know how
For
to.
you, what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like I was just naive and never really considered those things, maybe.
Yeah.
Just right off the top of my head. I mean, I was in, you know, a little bit about my history, and I was just trying to look it up the other day, and I didn't get a whole lot of information, but there was a school that my brother and I went to in Santa Barbara, the Lawrence M. Parma School.
Okay.
And if you see the building, there's like a middle part where the door goes in, and I think that's where like administrative offices and different things like that. Behind it, the lunchroom, and then we had physical therapy area and occupational therapy area.
Okay.
And then on either side, there's a smaller structure, part of the structure. Well, on the right-hand side was the elementary school, like kindergarten, probably through 5th or 6th grade. And then on the other side was 6th or 7th through 12th grade, high school.
Yes.
You know, so, and they were all together, you know, so kindergarten was together with
like
5th graders
one-room
on one
school
side.
almost.
Yeah. But it was
So
two.
was it a special school? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all for people with as far as I knew, physical needs. I don't know if there was any intellectual or developmentally disabled kids. I don't remember. But there, you know, there's no such thing as like adaptive toys, but there were some toys that we kind of made work. You know, we had back and,
exactly.
And like I say, we had time during the day for physical therapy and occupational therapy, all those things. And then I was mainstreamed in 5th grade. My brother went a year ahead of me, and then I came along the next year. And what I found was I wasn't educationally, you know, up to speed.
Okay.
Which is, it's just a matter of
it is what
trying
it
to
is.
teach, all these different ages in one class. You know, on top of having physical and occupational therapy, which other kids didn't have time out of their day to do those things as well. Right. And, you know, so I just didn't, I mean, by 5th grade, you probably should know your timetables fairly well. You know, I was lost, you know, when it came to that. That's just one thing I can remember. So, so anyway, and then got into class, and, you know, you make friends, and there's people that you make friends with and people you don't. And I don't ever remember that really being a barrier. There there were kids that were curious, and there were curious kids that, were the way I was going to say this sounded inappropriate, but want to touch you in ways that you really shouldn't be touching. And me, there were times when,
like people that want to touch a pregnant belly. Yeah. Similar.
So one time somebody kind of knocked me over and I actually broke my leg.
Oh, shoot.
I mean, they weren't pushing me down or anything. They didn't realize that, balance is a little bit more precarious sometimes for me.
So you're a gravity check, professional gravity check. Yeah.
But having said that, so then went through 5th and 6th grade and then moved on to junior high. And in junior high, this is something that kind of hit when I started volunteering for different organizations, especially Rolling Start, when they asked me to come and be on the board for Rolling Start. And they told me what they were all about. And I'm like, we're still doing that? We're still having to have all these services for people with disabilities to help them find jobs and all that. I mean, I just thought we had done that by now. I mean, because my experience, like when I was in school, there were no adaptive sports classes, but we came up with our own. My classmates and I would play flag football with them. And, and I, back then, like I talk about in the opening, I walked on crutches. Well, they would put flags on me. I would run out when we snapped the ball. I'd run out. The guy would pass it to me. And all I had to do was take my crutch and put it up. And if I hit the ball, I didn't have to catch the ball. I just hit the ball. Now that I have the ball. And everybody was on the same page. And then I'd start running like I had the ball. They'd all catch up to me and pull my flags off. So we came up with ways for me to be included.
Right.
And there was all this talk of inclusion. I'm like, what? I mean, we figured that out on our own way back then. Why do we need agency?
That's the thing. Remember how we say, like, as a child, you don't have the preconceived notions, like those are given to you by society. So what happens is by the time you're adult, like you've decided capabilities of other people based on what you think it should be. Whereas when you're a kid, you're like, well, as long as we don't break them in half and we can scoop them up and not get in trouble, like, I feel like that's the mantra more is like, we will adapt as long as we don't do it so we get grounded, like, we're good. But as adults, they're kind of like, they put the boundaries and And
I'm kind of surprised that, and thankful that the teachers and stuff were fine with all of that,
Yeah.
Because I was included and I was part of the solution.
Well, and honestly, too, they probably don't want to be in the middle. They're like, I don't want to be the one to, say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, get in trouble, lose my job. Like,
I don't know if that was as big a thing back then, but definitely a possibility. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I know that from like being a teacher myself, like knowing what the boundaries are. And even though like as a human, sometimes like you want to hug the kids, like you hear a tragic thing or something happens and you cannot because there is.
And then I get to high school. And they had their adaptive PE.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what that was is they put us in a room. I think it was a weight room. And then we all just sat around for 45 minutes. Yeah. That was the class. I mean, they didn't do any kind of, it wasn't like we were using the weights. They were just.
You're looking at the weights. So basically it was like suspension or detention while you waited. Yeah. At least for me, I was very lucky and I had an aide that was like assigned to me. So we would go walking like in high school. We would walk the track or walk just the neighborhood outside of the school. And that was really lucky because for me, having surgery in 6th grade and having to learn to walk again, that was really good. Like I had a routine that forced me to walk. I probably need I need that routine again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a bravo to the school for doing that they weren't like, we're just going to go sit in a chair in the hall. We're going to give her something to do.
Yeah. And then I had a gym teacher that said some unkind things to me. And it kind of fired me up a bit. I remember going home and, back in the day when we all sat at a table and ate dinner together, that was what I remember bringing that up,
Yeah.
And, and my parents are like, yeah, that, wasn't like they were going to storm off to the school, but, I just wanted to get away from him.
Yeah.
So it forced me to volunteer to be the manager for like the track team and the cross country team, and just to get away from him.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be a great experience because I traveled with the team and got to do things and all of that.
And I mean, that's freaking awesome. Like, but isn't it interesting how we're forced to be ingenuitous? Like, we adapt.
Well, and that's what happens. And I'm sure you'll attest to this. It starts at birth, I guess, at least when you get the disability, then you are constantly having to solve problems like that, physical or otherwise. And so you get real quick at solving problems.
When the universal assignment is handed out, adaption is also a skill that has been passed. Yeah, because I mean, generally, even if you think about it, like as people, we innately try to make people feel more comfortable. At least I can speak for myself, and I feel like that's you because just how warm and friendly you are is that generally we're going to make people feel that it's okay, even if it isn't okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're good at that.
And then getting back to, work. We're
back to work.
Got that work period. But when I got to work, then, I certainly wasn't going to let anybody know that I didn't deserve to be here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So
or this is hard.
And then adaptation comes in again. They hand you things to do, and they don't tell you how you're going to do it. They just,
for sure,
like any other employee, this is what we need done. So, I don't say, oh, I can't do that. I'm going to figure it out one way or the other. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I think that the goal is to be so seamless in the adaptation you create for yourself that nobody realizes you've adapted it.
Yeah. And I know there's going to be people listening to this that's old school, and that was the world that I grew up in. Now, of course, there's a whole community, there's a movement, there's people that fight for our rights and to have accommodations, ADA now, all of those things, and so I'm a little sad that maybe that they're missing that experience of having to fight for those things a little.
I guess in a larger way, right? But I think that it's still insidiously quiet there. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's just not like, I don't know. I think you have to live the experience to understand the experience, because I feel like even if the ADA or whatever made like certain, let's say they made some adaptions, right? But there's still like silent things that we wouldn't talk about that's still an adaptation. So maybe the bigger blocks are out of the way, but the small blocks that just seem insignificant or like unworthy of a change are still there for people, which force them to be resilient or to be enterprising, kind of like we're talking about, entrepreneurship or whatever, because we have to make a way. So we do.
And believe me, I don't discount that everybody is different. And
certainly.
You know what I mean? And because I was at a certain place in my disability that maybe it was even easier for me to overcome some of those blocks.
Yeah.
And other people it's not, but they still deserve to have a place.
100%.
Yeah. It's not lost on me, just, before the angry cards and letters start coming in.
Right. No, but I think that's what's fascinating too. Even if you look at like social media now, like other options for work have widened the things that people can do and be monetized for.
Yeah.
And I think in that as well is doing a great job of like showing people other things that were sort of hidden as a way of life, adaptation. I love the triumph stories that we're hearing, even interviewing people here. And it's so cool that the internet has kind of given, somebody like Kara more of a platform to reach out and share her message. So it's not as far as her car can take her or as far as the phone will call or whatever. The internet is a wide place and you never know who needs to hear it and why.
Yeah. Well, and it really evens the playing field to a large degree. Now you are what you are on paper on the internet. They'll never see you, and they don't really particularly care one way or the other, as long as you're getting the work done, right?
Yes, totally.
And you're judged on that, whether you're getting the work done.
Merit. It's much more merit based.
Yeah. So,
although I do like the peekaboo when you show up and are different than they ever thought. Because I've had that experience. Even in the job I have now, when we went to like our yearly thing, and I had never been to the yearly thing yet. People did not know that I used a chair or my walker, and people were like, "Oh my God, what happened?" I'm like, "Well, it was a long, long time ago." But I mean, it's entertaining to me now because it's
Yeah.
been so long. But it's
That
still
happened to
fascinating.
me. That happened to me, and I felt so bad for this gal. But you know, in that transition that I talk about
Yeah.
with the wheelchair, years ago, when I got the wheelchair, I still walked primarily, and I would use the wheelchair for, you know, long trips, go to an amusement park, things like that.
Yes.
Well, we live here next to one of the NASCAR tracks, and so I would go out there every year, and it's huge. You know, it's 300 acres, 2-mile track. So to get around it, I would use my wheelchair.
Yeah.
So, you know, race after race after year, there was these same gals that worked with the catering service.
Okay.
So being in media, you know, I could go into the media area, and me and my buddy, we'd have lunch, and, you know, they would
Nice.
serve breakfast, sometimes dinner, and I'd be there all the time. Well, I went to an off race weekend track event one time,
Okay.
some media event, and I went, and you could park right there next to the garage. You could park in the garage. So I didn't get in the wheelchair. I just walked in. And this gal, God, I could still hear her voice. God bless her. She's like, "Oh, look at you. You're doing so good." I'm like, "Oh, no, this is what I do all the time. You know, I'm just in the chair."
Yeah.
You know, that's the only thing she had, her point of reference.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm good. This is, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
You know,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, it is what it is.
she's doing her best. But I mean, you know, it's fascinating because I mean, even though you and I are like much more adapted to disabilities, like other preconceived notions we have about other stuff, right? So like we're all victim to
Well,
that kind of thought process for whatever.
like you alluded to as you listen to this show, and you hear the triumphs and, you know, the challenges, and I'm finding that I had preconceived notions about, you know, some of the disabilities, some of the experience that I thought people might have in the stories that we've told, and finding out it's not like that, or it's, you know, it's different. It's so different between each person with a similarly same injury or outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've loved listening to that, or even like, when does their mind shift, or does it shift at all, or was this who they, you know, like, it's just the essence of human spirit is so interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you and I, you know, and we grew up with it, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know any different.
yeah, there wasn't that before after dynamic. And so it definitely is different. So I really admire, if I can use that word, you know, those folks that have gone through that.
Oh, for sure.
Because I feel like the mental, I mean, physical part, you heal, you know, you have surgeries.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
But the mind, that's to overcome that change, major change in your life. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. I mean, everybody we've talked to, I am like, oh my goodness, like I find myself saying like they're so mentally strong because I don't know if I could do that, which is funny because you feel weird sometimes when people say you're triumphant for just living your life with a disability. And then here I am, like, now sitting in this seat, and I'm like, oh my God, if that happened to me, you know, I don't know if I could do it. So bravo for life lessons all the way.
You know, and I know there's a segment of our community that bristles at that when somebody says, you know, you're an inspiration, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I get it, you know, because you're just, you know, you and I'm sure most people that have a disability, you know, I didn't set out to be an inspiration. I'm just living my life one day at a time, the best I can. You know, I have the same hopes and dreams and setbacks and aspirations.
If I save up enough of those laudings, do I get to like suddenly learn how to drive? That's the only reason I would like those. Is, you know, like, do I get points? Is this like tickets? But yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, and now you've starting to dabble in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
How's that going?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, I've always been passionate about showing people that like you have something to give and you're important, and all those things. And so I feel like every dabble I do, that is the theme I'm trying to hang on to, is like, how do I move people past their comfort zone into who they're supposed to be? And so that's sort of the umbrella in which every squirrel idea rides. But I really like it. And I mean, honestly, we've talked a little bit about it, which you wouldn't believe me because I've always been seemingly outgoing, but having crippling anxiety and having to shove so much of it down just to function at work or get on the bus to go to work or whatever. Yeah. I finally found, a way to kind of move past that and help other people and if I want to be an example for anything, it's that. Moving past your own mental limitations and finding the life you want. It's not a triumphant disabled person.
I totally agree. That's one of the things that I'm proudest of, and if you listen to my story on the podcast months ago, when I was in school, and like a lot of people, just not real crazy about getting up in front of the class and giving an oral, just, paralyzed with fear. And I would be prepared sometimes, and I would just say, I can't do it. I can't overcome it, and I'll take the F, and I would do that. So for me to do what I did for a living for all those years, it didn't just snap one day. It was a process that I had to work at. I had to put myself in uncomfortable situations. People would ask me early on when I first started going to broadcast workshop, they'd find out, hey, we're doing an event. You want to come and make some announcements for it? I'd say yes immediately. Yeah. I wouldn't think about it. I'd say yes. And then I was sick with
throw up beforehand.
Oh God, beforehand. Yeah. If it was 3 months away, I'd be ready to throw up every day, knowing it was coming. I could barely sleep. But slowly but surely, you get up and you do it, and you lived, And one of the nice things, and I always tell, especially when I go speak to kids, like on a career day or something like that, and I talk about what I do, I would always tell them, when you learn something like that about yourself, when you overcome a fear like that, it opens up your whole world that you can, if I can do that, what other fears can I overcome?
Yes.
The next one becomes easier. The next one becomes easier.
Yes.
So
totally. I think that entrepreneurship and getting success or seeing my stuff out there, that's fun and exciting, but really the only way, through something is to really go through it, I think. Yeah. And I decided, right before my birthday this year, I'm going to tackle this. I'm going to go to the life I want. And in doing that, I need to do certain things no matter what it feels like. And so I can't ask other people to do it and not do it. Yeah. And so for me, it's not about whatever dabbles I'm doing. It's about being afraid, worried about what people think of it, not worthy to speak to somebody, but speaking anyways. Even getting on here with you, the fact that when I listen back, I'm freaked out because my voice just sounds crazy to myself, but I'm still doing it and I'm learning so much, and I'm spending time with you, trying to look past those self-critical moments and those,
It's all you can do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you feel like you're doing this and give us the name. What's the,
so I do, it's natural and vegan beauty. It's Monate, but I do other, I'm writing a book. I make candles. I just get an idea and I'm I'm going with it. Luckily I have a husband who's it's okay. You can go with it for so long. Right.
So in addition to just trying to be successful at those things, are you doing it so that you can show other people they can do it too? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I feel I want them to have the things they want and not feel unworthy of, that's for somebody else. That's not for me. Yeah. No, it is for you too. What is holding you to the wall so deeply, and how can we get you off the wall? Yeah. That's what because I didn't want to get off the wall, and I didn't realize that it was me holding me to the wall. And once you see that, I hope to be the community for somebody else, to just give them the arm. This one works. The lefty's good. So I'll stick out the lefty and hold on and let's walk through it together. Yeah. And I think that is
when you go through a different kind of life, you can isolate a lot. No matter whether you have a disability or a normal, quote unquote, or whatever, like whatever life hands you, you feel unworthy of a good life. And I do not want to accept that for myself or anybody else.
And nor should you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And nor should anybody. Yeah. Whatever that dream is that you have, chase it. And this could be a whole nother probably show, but I've done a lot of reflecting in my retirement, because you hear people talking about a dream and chasing a dream and all those things. And now at the end of my career, and
I was going to say, it is not the end. What are you talking about? But yes.
But now looking back, I realized that I did have a dream.
Yeah.
And that's how I overcame so many different things, the different little roadblocks along the way that might stop you from pursuing what I was doing.
Yeah.
I see now that it was that dream.
So do you think so now that you're saying you're at this side of your career and things, do you think it's still the same dream, or do you think dream morphs, or how has it evolved for you?
Well, I think, first of all, I'm a creative, whatever it is, when I first retired, I spent a lot of time doing woodworking, and ever since I started this, I haven't done any. But because this, I still think about it from time. But this scratches the itch. Yes. And this is what I do. This is what I love doing, putting this show together. If 2 people a week listen to this, that's great. That's gravy, just doing the interviewing and putting it all together and meeting these people and hearing these amazing stories that does it for me.
Well, and I think that's one reason why, I didn't ever, until we were just talking about this, I didn't just connect the dots until you just said that, is that, I love doing this too, because maybe those people that appear feel worthy and see, Doug saw something in me so much to bring me to the show, and our goal is to make them comfortable enough so they don't realize it's going on airwaves. But I love that the ripple effect may be that when they don't feel valuable, they are. Yeah, I hope it's a reinforcement, and that's so cool.
I've had quite a few people. You don't want to hear my story.
Yes, I do.
My story, nothing. And then more times than not, they're the story that was wow.
Blew us away. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not like we talk to them for 20 minutes and then we don't think about it anymore. I seriously think about all these people all the time. And I think, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are that way too. They maybe whatever kernel that person said makes them alter their life for that day or that month or whatever.
Because I think about them because I don't want them to think that I reached out to them, had them on the show, and then if we don't continue to have conversations, that I'm not thinking about them. And I'm thinking about not only, how can I re-engage them?
Yes.
Not necessarily even for the show, but just, how I can.
Just to be a human.
Yeah.
Human connection. Yeah.
I mean,
but I think you're tremendous at that.
It gets to be more and more people all the time.
Right. But I think you're tremendous at that. Look at you're talking to a 5-year-old girl 40 years later who has never forgotten what that car wash birthday was like, because it's a testament to you and you as a human. You were a safe space and made people feel special and important, and I can vouch for that 40 years later.
Well, nice to hear. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we could go down several more rabbit holes, but let's not wear out our welcome. How's that sound?
That sounds good. I think we need to shut up. Save our yapping for another day.
I like it. So we'll reschedule our guest for today somewhere down the road. And coming up next week, well, we'll get to that here in a little bit. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back on Walk and Roll Live.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people living with a disability.
We went after Manuel Noriega. So what happened is, my whole platoon was in front of the hangar. And then, a firefight started, and pretty much just about everybody in my platoon was shot. And that was the end, the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. I was shot twice, one on my back and one in my leg, and I got to the hospital. And you still don't think, this is permanent. But eventually it kind of dawns on you, it dawned on me that this is for the long haul. It's not something that's going to be fixed, anytime soon.
Join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live, wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
Walk and roll live. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Walk and roll live. Honest and open. Open. Walk and roll live. Walk and roll live. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Walk and roll live. Honest and
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of today is pivot.
That's
Pivot
right.
and value. I hope we have illustrated both things to you today.
Yeah, it's funny because we've talked about this for a while and we were both a little apprehensive, but just goes to show you, we get to talking, we can't shut up.
Right? We will close a restaurant. That's why.
That's right. We're those people where they're putting the chairs on the table. And, all right, we're almost done.
That's why we come with our own.
That's right. All right, so what do you got coming up this week? Anything exciting? Wheelchair, maybe, huh?
Wheelchair. Yeah, I'm going to beat you at the wheelchair. That's about it. I mean, wheelchair. It's
Very
exciting.
nice. End of the
Work,
month, so
wheelchair.
you're busy at work.
Busy at work. It is month's end. So that's when a lot of things close, and we're coming to year end almost too. So it becomes even more exciting.
All
What about
right. Nothing. Well, my daughter's birthday is coming up this week, so we'll be celebrating that. And then
Happy birthday.
Yeah, and my granddaughter is planned a party for her.
Oh, bam.
Well, so we're gonna have two. So yeah, and she says she planned everything. She planned the menu and everything.
Oh, okay.
And the party is at 111. So I have to be there
nice.
at 111 this Sunday.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love number synchronicities.
She's
So
very specific about
go
that.
little. I'm with you.
And then Anthesis Art and Wine event is on November 9th. That is going to be at the Chino Hills Gallery. And
Oh, no, that looked really cool,
yeah,
actually.
I think
Too bad I'm not there.
So there'll be wine. We're going to have wine to pour and some snacks, and you can check out all the art participants at Anthesis that will be
nice.
shown there as well. And I think some of it will be available for purchase if you fall in love with it.
Awesome.
And you can look at that on our event page. There's a poster of it. And then if you click on that poster, it takes you through to get tickets. All right. And what else? If you would like to be on the show, if anything, kind of sparked your interest today and thought, I'd love to tell my story, or I know somebody whose story would be perfect for you guys, please pass that along. And if you're looking for resources, I think I put up a couple extra this week. I can't remember. It feels like I'm always adding. So look for those resources on our resource page. If you know of any, please pass them along. If you've looked for some on the page and haven't found them, let us know. We'll kind of try to track them down. And then next week we have Luis Ovando with Amputee Connection. We'll hear his story. He's an amputee, and Amputee Connection has peer support and different services for people that have amputations or recently have come to it for counseling, that kind of thing. So we'll find out all about it next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And thank you for listening.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, with Addie Rich from the Agyar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories, Life Limitless.
In the realm of tales untold, where every voice finds its hold. Walk and roll life with Doug and Eric, where disability stories are vibrant. Walk and roll life, let's hear it unfold. Doug hosts his warmth untold, from triumphs high to struggles low. Every story finds its glow. Through laughter, tears, and heartfelt sighs, we journey where empathy lies. Each episode a journey embarked, where every listener finds their spark. Walk and roll life, let's hear it unfold. Doug and Derek host their warmth untold, from triumphs high to struggles After tears and heartfelt sighs, we journey where empathy lies. Each episode a journey embarked, where every listener finds their glow. In every word, in every beat, the rhythm of resilience, so sweet. Walk and roll live, a symphony of grace. In every tale, a sacred space. In every word, in every beat, the rhythm of resilience, so sweet. Walk and roll live, a symphony of grace. In every tale, a sacred spoke. In every word, in every beat, the rhythm of resilience, so sweet. Walk and roll life, a symphony of grace. In every tale, a sacred spoke.